What's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome back to the Winning Drive, the primetime edition. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers, pleased to be joined by fellow lifetime Longhorn young prodigy C.J. Vogel, also joined by my former teammate, lifetime Longhorn Stevie Lee, also joining us, starting off things. He ain't gonna be on for the whole show, but our Stevie Lee cameo each and every Monday, which we appreciate. Also, of course, joined by our own coach, former high school football coach at Vernon, Capel, Brownwood, Belton, Rotan, also played college football at Abilene Christian, coached there as well, and was on the staff at the University of Texas for multiple head football coaches. And these days, you can catch his work at ShipleyRanches.com. He's also a kind of unofficial, accomplished songwriter too, but we'll talk about that later.
I wrote a good one today.
See? Boom!
Oh, hey, but it's only for us. It's only for us. It's only for us old guys.
I'm an old guy. That you mean you talking about me and you?
He's talking about a guy say, "Hey, I know a good-looking woman when I see her, but I'm sorry, darling, I'm just at the looking stage." Hey, you wait. That's going to somebody's going to do that one.
Hey, well, I know exactly what you're talking about. You mean I'm already there. What do you mean? I'm at the looking stage, man. I see that all the time. I know I'm at the looking stage. I'm married, so ain't nothing but the looking stage for me. All right. Like I tell my wife, I ain't dead, baby. I'm just married. All right. I'm loyal as hell, but I ain't dead. What are you talking about? Come on now. You saw that too.
I really meant it as for older men, where, things become more difficult. That's what I meant it as. Okay. I'm at the looking stage. I just be like George Strait and Alan Jackson, all these old guys to get on stage and do it together.
Oh man, okay. Well, see and
it probably wouldn't be easy to get a sponsor for that either.
No, you got a bunch of them. You can get that, some blue pill and some all that. Yeah,
I'm not. Okay, that's you. That's not me.
Yeah. I can't relate to that. I can relate to looking though. I just look. That's it.
Hey, Stevie, welcome to the wild intro, baby.
Hey man, that's crazy. Yeah. Brought to you by Honey Pack.
Coach starting off the rails. All right, thank you. All right, so we'll get back on the rails. I get Stevie Lee's thoughts about the game, of course, and get Coach's thoughts about the game because I didn't get a chance to talk to Coach on the handoff on the in-game live watch. So I want to get their opening thoughts about the game. Sark spoke to the media today. This Monday media availability. We'll get to that as well after we talk to my man Stevie Lee. But of course, the show belongs to you. It's a show of the people, for the people, and by the people. So people, throw out your questions, comments, whatever you want to talk about. We'll address it. Super chats jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time. And I know a lot of y'all got your eyes on Monday Night Football, and Bijan is going off. What is Bijan averaging? Like 17 yards a touch? Something freaky like that? It's just crazy. He's going off. Falcons right now up 21-7 on the Buffalo Bills, but still early in now. We're just midway through the second quarter. They got a doubleheader on tonight. Now Chicago's up 3-0 on Washington. So we can talk about that too if you would like. But let's start off talking with Stevie Lee and get your thoughts, Stevie, about the game because you're at the Longhorns winning this one. And thank you very much, Matthew. Courtesy of our good friends at Hard Grove Roofing, hardgroveroofing.com. Check out our friends over at Hard Grove Roofing. You can get a new roof today, and you can get a new roof inspection as well. If you're thinking about, maybe there's been some severe weather in your area, or maybe it's been a long time since someone's had a look at your roof, you can leave it to the professionals at Hard Grove Roofing, the most pro burnt orange roofing company out there. 512-645-3202. Know who's on your roof with Hard Grove Roofing. They do partner with Stevie Lee, but he will never be on your damn roof. He did tell me that. All right, Stevie. So what are your thoughts, man? Because you had the Longhorns winning this one. I want to say by 2 touchdowns, actually. I believe you had the widest margin of victory, I believe, about all the predictions. And I was dead wrong because I actually had Oklahoma winning the game. What were your thoughts about?
Yeah, I think there's only 2 people on this show that had Texas winning.
That's true. Hey,
I'm gonna stay my little banner down here. That wasn't me.
I'll leave my crow. That crow tasted good. That was some good tasting crow. When the Longhorns beat Oklahoma that bad, I'll eat that crow, put hot sauce on it, and I was licking the bones off of that crow, man. That was some good crow. All right. Yeah, that was good. I don't mind that at all. I don't mind being dead wrong about that. Stevie, what were your thoughts though? Because like I said, you had them winning big. Did you see it going down like that?
Obviously I did. I think I told y'all, what was it, 14-28 or something like that I said?
Something like that.
Yeah.
2 touchdowns.
Yep. But I had it that way because one, the spirit of the University of Texas, the pride and winning tradition of the Texas Longhorns, not the weak nor the timid. It's hard to beat us 2 weeks in a row, right? So I knew we were going to come out on fire, fired up. What I was surprised on how well the defensive line played. I mean, 5 sacks, bro. Come on. You know, it's that was amazing the way they came out and responded. I think they heard me talking shit about them. So they came in and was like, let me show Stevie up, you know. So and they did. And they did. So I really enjoyed that game. Now we still got some stuff to work on, y'all. I mean, we only had 1 offensive touchdown, and that's a problem, right? Even though OU has a really good defense, we get in the red zone, we got to put it in the end zone, right? So there's still some woes right there with that, but it was a team win for me because defense played well, offense played decent, special teams played well, right? So it looked really good. It was fun to watch. Even though I put that score out there, I was a little nervous. that
first half. Yeah, first quarter.
The first drive that OU had, they were pretty decent, and they finished it with a field goal, correct? Yep. So they drove down on us pretty good, and then PK got the guys on the sideline and say, listen, we're in a football game now. Are y'all ready to play now? And then they came out on fire. So it felt good, man. Anytime you come back wake up on Sunday and you say, oh, we beat OU yesterday, that's a great weekend.
Stevie, I got a question for you. What was the difference you saw in the defensive line from last week, from the Florida game to the OU game?
Actually, it was that's a great question, Coach. It was penetration and gap integrity. Yeah. Everybody had their gap, and because, you know, what is his name? Mateer was going to sit back there and throw, but they had to run it. They were trying to run it, and they got 48 yards on the ground for the whole game. So that's gap integrity right there, man. We get back to the quarterback in our gaps, and we once he throws the ball, we recover in our gaps. So it was good fundamental football on the line. I didn't watch much of the DBs, but I was really honed in on the line, and it was fun to watch.
Yeah, that's 48 rushing yards on 30 attempts. So, I mean, that's a pretty – I think you take that every single week if you're the Texas defense. On top of that, look, you know, I thought Mateer had some opportunities to throw the ball down the field, but when pressure is getting to the quarterback as quickly as it did, well, it's almost impossible to get the ball where it needs to go vertically down the field. Stevie, 3 interceptions. Is that what you kind of expected, this Texas defense to swarm up front and then the back end to play that complementary style on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, I thought that we were going to come out and play much better on defense. I think we got embarrassed against Florida, and they answered the call. The coaches challenged them, and they answered. It looked like that they came out on fire. And then it doesn't hurt when OU try to jaw at you at warm-ups. I don't know if you're out today. Yeah. And when we get fired up with stuff like that, man, they start jawing at us. You get back to the locker room and you start throwing around these MFers and all this stuff like that. You come back out on fire. So, you know, my old coach, her high school coach said, man, if you're going to call them off the porch, you better be ready to fight. So I don't think they were ready to fight.
No, you're right about that. That's when I knew. I saw that because I was doing like a news piece and they showed, and I was like, oh, they ready. That's good. Yeah. They ready to go. Because that was a big issue in the Florida game. It looked like y'all just it was a no-show. We didn't get the passion, the intensity for that Texas OU game. They were sure to bring it, and they brought it. Let me ask you this just before we let you go about Arch. What are your thoughts about Arch? Because when I on the rewatch, I just thought he was so in command and so poised in that moment. You can tell things started to slow down for him. Especially on like third down.
Yeah,
he was marvelous and magnificent.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So Arch, he did well this game. He did better, but his numbers look great, right? But we still got to put it in the end zone. We can throw the ball all over the lot, all over until we get down to the 10-yard line and we can't push it in, then that's still a problem, right? So he has good numbers. He's starting to settle down. I think I told you guys, was it last week? I can't remember, but rolling him out, getting him out of the pocket. Mm-hmm. He's comfortable with that, man. It felt more. Coach was calling some plays to his skill set because he can roll out of the pocket and pull it down and run. And didn't he have was it a 30-yard run or a 20-yard run?
Arch.
29.
Yeah, Arch.
I felt like he might have been able to score on that one, but
I thought he might have scored, but on the replay, I think they had the angle on him.
Yeah. So,
but I thought he was going to try.
Yeah. So that looked good to me. Just being able to roll out, look downfield. If it's not there, that's what Coach Brown told Vince. If it ain't there, run it. And so that's exactly what he did. And I love Livingstone still, making plays for him. Somebody's going to rise though. Somebody in that defensive or offensive, the receivers, they're going to rise up and actually be the superstar. And it may be Livingstone. So I love it. Somebody always open and with sure hands for him.
Mm-hmm.
But who's your favorite?
Yeah.
Who's playing the best among the D tackles in your opinion of that group?
Oh,
like 5 or 6 of them they playing.
Oh
now.
Man,
they're playing like 6 of them. Who do you think making?
I don't know.
Okay. It's tough, really.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know because
I love how Stevie
when they did that.
Stevie doesn't want to just pick one person
he
out.
Doesn't. Yeah, I see that. Yeah. You don't want to pick one, huh? Okay.
No, I won't blame him.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look back at it, man. I didn't look at their individual stats and things like that, but shoot, man, that's a good question.
All right, next week.
I don't know if one. Yeah, I'll look at it this week, and I'll give a name if y'all want a name. But it just look across the board. They just look like they're playing together.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's why I asked you. I want to know which one, in your opinion, is like has one separated because I think they're all playing great as a unit right now. Pretty good as a unit. Well, after the Florida game, as a
Rod,
unit.
who would you say, Rod?
I think the coaches like Canoe. I mean, based on kind of the snaps, they like Canoe.
Spence was thumping.
But they were moving Spence around. I'm talking about just purely at D tackle. They like Canoe. They like Canoe on the NASCAR package when they use a D tackle there. They like Canoe. I believe early in the season he was in that Ohio State game. I won't say he played as much as any of the D tackles in the Ohio State game.
Yeah.
So the coaches like Canoe, and
what
I
about
don't know
you,
much about D tackle players. Stevie.
Yeah, Canoe has been, I think, the most pleasant surprise of this season. You come in with 5 brand new guys. Cole Brevard's been the guy probably with the most snaps, most production of anyone in their career. Murad Watson, maybe the highest accolades with the freshman All-American under his belt. And you're sitting there saying, okay, you're piecing together some really solid guys right now. And then you look over at Hero Canoe and you're like, well, this guy never really saw the field at Ohio State in a consistent manner, right? You don't know necessarily what you have. And even coming into the week 1 against Ohio State, you said, what would that rotation look like? We don't think he's going to be a top-end line starter for you. And yet 6 games into the season, I think he has almost 100 snaps more than any other defensive lineman. He's a guy that Texas can't, get off the field.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's, to me, been the biggest surprise of the first half of the year. And credit to Hero because he's taken over some of that leadership. He's a guy that won a ring last year.
Yeah,
he beat Texas, and now he's a part of this locker room and part of this program. Saying, "Hey, we had the pieces. We've heard it from him for 3 or 4 weeks in a row now. We have the pieces to go out there and win it all. We just got to stick to what we do internally and go out there and execute." So, unbelievably surprising for Hero Canoe. I think it's a great sign for this Texas health on that defensive line room.
Yeah, man, they're deep there. Stevie, you got any last words for the people? I was going
to tell y'all. I mean, we're talking about the D line, but man, hats off to Malik Muhammad. That kid was playing this weekend. Yeah, he was playing this weekend. Played his ass off. with 2 interceptions and some coming up, making plays and some good tackles too. So it was just fun to watch defense all around. And I just want the offense to click like that as well. So, and I think that'll happen.
Yep. No, we don't give Malik Muhammad enough credit. As a matter of fact, I believe he was like a co-defensive player of the week in the SEC for his performance. 2 picks. He had a PBU, and I want to say he had a tackle for loss, it looked like, too. Right, didn't he? He was balling, man. Like we should have given him a little bit more props. All right, Stevie, thank you for the time, as always. Really appreciate the knowledge.
One more
Go
thing.
ahead. Throw it out there.
Well, one more thing is I gave a bad grade to the offensive line last week. This week, they were a lot better. They weren't turning and letting people just run through them. So if I'm tearing you down, I got to build you up. You know what I mean? So they're a lot better this week. Still got work to do, but keep working, kids. They're gonna be all right. They're gonna be all right.
Yeah,
me too. I'm in the same boat. No, and nobody. I'm kind of like eating that crow. Nobody's happier eating it than me.
Yeah,
with an offensive line. I mean, they're still not road graders, but they played at a very high level, and they played better as a unit, and just better effort, better technique. Hats off. Way to go. Keep going.
Yeah, and considering the opponent too, I mean, that's one of the best defensive fronts in the country. We talk a lot of ish on Oklahoma, but that defensive front's legit. They wore them down.
Yep.
Double-digit drive. They did what I didn't think they could do. I thought they needed a lot of chunk yardage plays to move the ball. No. He said, I'm liking Brooks. Yeah, Brooks, he started bad, but it ain't where you start, it's where you finish. He finished much better. And now I think you do have your starting O-line now. And I'll give them, I agree with you guys. I'll give those guys a ton of credit for showing up in that game. And like I say, it wasn't pretty at the beginning. They definitely found their groove. And to give Sark some credit, it looks like the outside zone was what they really relied on in the run game. And unless you got Cedric Baxter back there, it looks like that's still going to be your bread and butter run concept is the outside zone.
Definitely.
They ran it over and over. Marcus Myers, lifetime Longhorn. I remember the OTF family says didn't get near some of the predictions of sacks we take either. Love them stepping up to the plate on the line. Great point. Only 1 sack allowed. That's a great point. I will say that a lot of that's a sack avoidance of Arch. He's really good at it. But the great point though. You're right about that, Marcus. It was not nearly the landslide of pressure that we all thought that they would have in that game. And Sark, by the way, Sark dialed up a really good game plan because early on, a lot of short, quick things, a lot of screens early on. I don't think they threw one deep bomb in the game. There wasn't one deep bomb, like a vertical shot, not one in the game. It was all short, intermediate, and scramble drill stuff. So give Sark some credit too. He listened to the people when they said, hey, you got to modify this offense or you're going to get that quarterback killed. He did. Smart man. Stevie, you're a smart man too. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for all the knowledge, brother. And tell that beautiful family we said hi.
All right, guys. Hook 'em, man. I'm going to be listening in.
All right. Thanks, Stevie.
Thanks, Stevie.
And thanks to Hardcore Roofing as well for sponsoring Stevie Lee's segment each and every Monday. That's hardcoreroofing.com. Reach out to them today, 512-645-3202. You can get a free roof inspection today from Hardcore Roofing. Leave it to the professionals. Don't try to do it yourself. And know who's on your roof with our friends at Hardcore Roofing. It won't be Stevie Lee, but it will be some professionals who love the burnt orange as well. All right, thank you to Hardcore Roofing. Let's hit some super chats, and then we'll come back and talk about what Sark had to say at the media availability today. But super chats always jump to the front of the line first. Lane's up first. Thank you, Lane, for the super chat. At the presser, Bose mentioned Livingston ran the wrong route on that goal line slant. Any clue what the route should have been? CJ, you were there. What did you hear about that? Oh, CJ, you're on mute, I believe.
Sorry, I was sneezing. My bad.
Yeah. Oh, bless you.
Thank you. Well, we talked to Parker about it. He mentioned it immediately after the game. And look, that's taken up for your quarterback. That's taken up for a guy that's taken a lot of heat already. So I loved hearing that from Parker originally. But he said, look, it's a bit of a return route, right? Almost a reverse whip. You sell the outside, point route essentially, and you come back up the middle like a slant. He said, I didn't sell it enough. I didn't hit the flat route enough. I didn't get that window to be wide enough to where there's a window for me to throw the football. or for Arch to throw the football, and said that was on me. I'd take responsibility for it because there was a bit of a window there. It would have been a tight throw. I don't think that outside linebacker cheated out enough, given where Arch's eyes went, and as a result, the safety over the middle of the field had to fight over a referee and get in the middle of that passing lane. Okay. And Arch ended up skying it out of the back for a throwaway, which that's what you like to see. Don't force it in the red area if it's not there. Texas, I know, it was 1st and goal from the 4. They settled for 3, but 3 is better than 0. And 0 is not where you want to be in a game like that. So Parker just said, hey, I got to take an extra 2 or 3 steps to make sure that defense reacts to where I'm going, and then I can curve my route back in and create that throwing window for Arch. So, I'm sure they'll fine tune it in practice a little bit, but altogether, hey, points were added on that possession. And I got to say, credit to Sark, 5 field goal attempts.
That's true.
We talk about taking the points and finding ways to put points on the board in these close games. He did exactly that, even though some of them from 55, 56 yards. I don't care. I liked it. I like the idea of taking the points, and when your defense is playing like that, it doesn't take many points to be successful.
I think he wanted to see if his kicker was going to be a weapon. Now, your kicker can still be reliable, but your kicker being a weapon is a different thing. Kicker being a weapon means they can hit 50 plus with ease. And that's okay if he can't do 55. That's okay. He can still be a reliable kicker, but you got to get a little bit closer than him being a weapon for you, hitting 55 out, which is not a lot of NFL teams. That's what they want. They want a guy that's a weapon as a kicker. So I'm with you, though. I think we saw a lot of growth and humility, coach, from Sark in that game plan. It was a lot of Sark deciding, I always say this quote because it was given to me by Ray Horton in the NFL. Life and football are constant struggles, deciding between what you want to be in order to thrive and what you need to be in order to survive. And he decided, what we need to be. I think he wants to be a team that can run a lot of gap power schemes and play bully ball, but you probably need to run a lot of outside zone, which is what he did. I think he wants to throw deep balls and be like Michael Penix in that Washington offense a couple of years ago. But I think he understands, I can't do that right now with this offensive line and maybe with this receiving core. Maybe I need to modify things and try to simplify it and get easier completions from my quarterback. And just like I think he wants to go for it on 4th down and in the red zone all the time too. But to CJ's point, let me get these field goals. I got a defense that can win games for me. That's the tip of the spear for us. We just got to play complementary football. Let me try to get points on the board because in this game, that can be everything. He's evolving and I think doing what he needs to do to win games, not to win it his way.
Yes, I think that's a good point. And he did this game. The problem and the thing that scares me is I've seen this before. Oh, okay, he's got it now. He's got it. Mm. And then he doesn't keep building on it, and that's what I want to see. And by the way, as a coach, I got to throw this out there. I doubt he heard anybody in the media or any fan saying, hey, coach, I sell beer down at the corner store, but I think you ought to start throwing some shorter passes. I don't think that was the case at all. I think he's smart. He realized it, And but anyway, I got to take up for coaching because but anyway, I do think he turned a corner there. Let's see if he can continue the pace and continue on that. Sorry about that.
No, I'm not even going to go. I had a follow-up joke. I'm not going to do it. We're going to stay politically correct and on the rails here, but everybody kind of knows probably where that joke was going, and I don't even need to say it. It don't need to be said. But I agree with you, Coach. You're right. He's not. But I do think, I think ultimately the fans and the beer guy, whatever, and Sark might have come to the same conclusion. Maybe not by influencing Sark, but at least came to the same conclusion that you got to change it up. I said CB said he came with the Quinn game plan. Yeah, it did feel like more of a Quinn Ewers game plan. It did feel like a Quinn-friendly game plan. And nothing wrong with that. The question that Coach had is that going to be now how you part of your recipe and formula going forward, or was that matchup specific? Because Venables like to have the too high shell, and the way the game was going, you didn't need to take any risks and chances, that kind of thing. Or they have a really good pass rush, so you wanted to get the ball out. Was it matchup specific, or did you come up with somewhat of a formula on a recipe to win. We'll see versus Kentucky. But good job by the coaches, man. That was a good job by Coach Sark in that game plan. All right. How about by the way, going back to the original question from Lane, didn't they run that same play, CJ, in the same San Jose State game? Was that San Jose State? Remember he runs the little touchdown by Parker Livingston?
I think that was more of a direct slant.
Okay.
Parker sold it pretty hard on the outside, and if he was supposed to sell it even harder, look, that's a longer developing route than the 1-2 get inside. And, they tried to run it, I believe, against UTEP to Ryan Wingo or a little bit later on in those non-conference games. And, I like it. I feel like these slant routes are fitting what Arch can do in the red area. It's just about getting on that timing, getting on that rhythmic throwing catch that we know is so valuable in that area. So they're trying new things to overcome some of those red zone issues. And, it didn't work on that first specific drive, but ultimately, if you can add points in that game like that, that's huge.
Yep, it is. All right, getting back to the super chat. CB, thank you, CB, for the super chat. Says, was that the greatest third quarter of the Sark era? Ooh, considering the third quarter woes, that's a great question, CB.
Yeah, I think the answer is yes. You dominate that quarter. You have 13 and a half minutes of time of possession to a minute and a half. And we heard today, it may not have felt like it at the time. You get an interception with 2 seconds left in the half. You can't do anything but knee it out, right? But you prevent points from being added to the board for Oklahoma. You go in saying, okay, boys, we're rolling now. Now we get the ball to come out of halftime. Let's see what we can do to build. And they go on a fantastic drive. They get a 3-and-out. They go on another fantastic drive. 10 points to 0. Only 4 plays for Oklahoma. You know what this felt like? And it was on the flip side of the last time that I saw a third quarter like this. It was the Arizona State third quarter. Where Arizona State
on the other side.
all the time of possession. Texas, I think, even lost a safety in that third quarter as well. And they lost that time of possession about 13 and a half to a minute and a half. Yeah. But that completely swung the momentum of the game. It swung where Texas was in its standing for that game. And I credit to Sark, credit to the offense for being able to sustain those long drives. And Rod, you've played in those games. Coach, you've coached in those games. The longer that you're on the field in those second halves, the hotter it gets. And boy, I thought Texas wore down that Oklahoma defense very well in that second half, and evidently came away with the dub.
And Texas had the shade most on the side. They brought that up on the game several times. They had the shade most of the day, or most of the game. And OU was like baking in the sun on their side too. And OU's used to getting off the field because they're the best third down defense in the country. So they hadn't stayed on the field all season long like that. With 3 double-digit play drives, you can tell, Coach, that defensive front just got worn out. But good point there, CB. I also remember that disastrous third quarter against Washington. Remember they had like the fumbles in the bowl game? Like that was a disastrous third quarter. So they've had
that run for us started in midway, a little past the second quarter. That's when that run started for us, really. Mm-hmm. It was really 2.5 quarters of great football. And it really takes a wind out of your sails when you throw an interception like that right before halftime or something like that. But not only does it take the opportunity away, as you mentioned, from getting points, but just the fact that here we go again. And was that the second interception of the game?
That was the second one.
Yeah, and so that really had to make John, what's his name?
Mateer.
That I kept trying to say Setier, and I knew that wasn't right. Yeah, me and Stevie having problems today, but that had to really make him go in as they used to say in junior high, with your dauber down, going into halftime, which is the opposite of momentum and feeling good about what you just did.
Yeah. Hey, and credit to Sark, because I thought there wasn't a question of who was the best coach on the field on Saturday. Right before that second interception in the end zone, Oklahoma has the ball on around the 30, right around the 25 or so. And it's third down, and they have a timeout in about 45 seconds.
Yep.
And they substitute with the running clock, and Sarkisian games the clock, right? They send in 2 defensive linemen. They wait about 5 more seconds. They send in another linebacker, and all of a sudden, they're down to about 10 seconds. And you're sitting there saying, Oklahoma had a chance to really push the ball and find a way to get into the red area for a shorter kick or potentially take a couple shots at the end zone. And for whatever reason, Arbuckle and Venables, they fumbled that opportunity. They call the timeout, they burn it, they end up throwing deep to the end zone because they have no other option essentially to throw a ball in the field of play. And as a result, the ball gets picked off. You don't have an opportunity to put points on the board and double up your lead before halftime, and that's when momentum completely switches. So, hey, hat tip to PK, hat tip to Sark. You were far and away the better coach on the sideline that afternoon, and it was clear.
Yeah. And I want to say, I think, that Arbuckle and Venables, if you look at like the original game plan preparation, they came out actually with a pretty good game plan and preparation. Sark and PK won the battle of adjustments, which is not something Sark usually wins. That's why Sark's that was his third win after being down at halftime since being at Texas. I think he's like 3-10 or something like that. That's his record. I think before that he was like 2-10. I wrote it down because I was like, oh, that stands out. But I was like, it makes sense. Yeah, he's 3-10 now. That was his third win after being down at half. Makes sense because he's a game plan preparation guy. That's what he beats everybody else with. The opening script, all that. And usually we complain that Sark doesn't win the battle of adjustments enough. Won the battle of adjustments and was far and away the better coach making those adjustments. Like you said, it wasn't even close, CJ. Yeah. All right. Diggs with a super chat here says one thing that doesn't seem to bother PK's defense is dual threat QBs. I think you're on to something here, Diggs. I think when you have a true dual threat quarterback, I mean, one that actually is a weapon as a +1 in the run game and used that way. I mean, he's like first or second on the team in rushing, that kind of threat. And you have a guy that you consider obviously a seasoned passer as well. When those are two threats that PK has to worry about, it seems that he does a really good job of being able to make that quarterback a pocket passer or take away the strengths of that particular quarterback as a runner. But the Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, reading besides Cardi B's house, making the sound size, but is quarterbacks that have functional mobility, who are passers, who can run, they hurt them more. Your Sam Levitts, your Dylan Gabriels. Remember Michael Penix had a couple of quarterback sneaks and he had a couple of, I believe, quarterback draws that he threw in there. But so I think if you're a true dual threat, he does a really good job of game planning that. What you want to be is a quarterback, kind of like, I guess you can throw Arch in the dual threat quarterback category now too. But you want a quarterback that has mobility, that will, when the play breaks down, has great scramble instincts. And that's what Sam Levitt had against Texas. He was just scrambling all around, and it was kind of twitchy. So yeah. I agree with that statement, though, for the most part, guys, that if you're a true dual threat, how many true dual threats have really hurt PK at Texas?
Haven't been many, to your point.
Good point.
He's never been taken by surprise by that. You're not going to surprise him with that.
It certainly helps when you have as much speed in that front seven that Texas has. And at any given moment, I think we saw it a little bit this past weekend. You basically can put names in a hat and say, hey, on this play, you're spying. And that makes things so difficult to identify as an offensive line or, as a quarterback to try to figure out pre-snap who's coming and who's not. Because it could be Anthony Hill. It could be Leon Galafal. Anthony Smith, I thought, had another really solid game. Or it could just be Colin Simmons or Brad Spence name a guy. Texas has speed up front that they can certainly sit and use to bring pressure from other additional look. And that definitely helped, in my opinion.
Speed and versatility. To your point, CJ, you don't know who they're going to end up turning the spy. It could be Colin Simmons sometimes, which I don't like, by the way. I don't like when they drop Colin Simmons. I'm not a fan of that. They've been doing it way too much, in my opinion, Coach. They'll drop Colin Simmons. And I know they're trying to surprise the offense because they're probably, they're probably sliding protection to him, or they got a running back ready to chip. And I know they're probably trying to screw up protection, but I don't like him dropping.
You're taking your best pass rusher out of the equation.
Yeah.
In that same breath, do y'all think maybe there's a little bit too much droppage of Anthony Hill? I mean, have y'all seen enough pass rushing so far from Anthony Hill, who still has 0 sacks on the year?
No. He should be on the edge more in your pass rushing packages, like your NASCAR packages. Especially now that you're deep at linebacker. Now that you love Ty Anthony Smith, you think he's great. You got LaFau. You got guys that can stabilize the linebacker position while you move him around. I'm with you, CJ. I don't like that either. I mean, so if I got it, we're not complaining about PK because the defense has been awesome. Can we? I sent you guys that stat. John Bianco put a stat out, and I just got to read through some of the the superlatives here on this tweet that he put out there, but John Bianca, who's the sports information director for Texas, he put this out about the defense yesterday. So now your defense after the Texas OU game, 3rd in scoring D, 4th in rushing defense. They are 6th in 4th down defense. I think they're 10th best pass efficiency defense, 11th in total defense. They are 11th in terms of takeaways, 12th in interceptions, and they are 18th in 3rd down defense. So that is a defense that is on the elite side of things on most of those categories. And I think it's, that's something we can start getting into too, talking about the defense, because there are a lot of guys who got some awards as well, talking about the defense from the SEC for the Texas OU game. We talked about Malik Muhammad. He's Defensive Player of the Week. So shout out to him, winning Defensive Player of the Week for the SEC. Also, Colin Simmons, after having 2 sacks in that game, 2.5 sacks in that game. Thank you. Yeah, I shouldn't be shortchanging the dude. Colin Simmons, Defensive Lineman of the Week in the SEC as well. And shout out to Ryan Niblett, also a great story, Special Teams Player of the Week. Can we talk about the edges for Texas really quickly? Because they threw Brad Spence out there a little bit. And a shout out to Vivek, who says, why isn't Spence playing more? He's a beast too. You can make that case for like 2 or 3 guys potentially. Yeah. In the edge, because Lance Jackson, you can make that case for it too, right? Lance Jackson had a hell of a game, guys. I don't know. I mean, and according to Pro Football Focus, and like I said, take that with a grain of salt. Some people don't like Pro Football Focus, but he was the highest graded true freshman edge in the country from week 7 in 87. So Colin Simmons got SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week. This guy is basically the highest graded true freshman edge. Brad Spence had a hell of a game too. What are your thoughts, guys? What do you thought? CJ, you up first. What are your thoughts about this edge room? Because now it seems like that we're ready to unleash this group of edges on SEC QBs.
Well, that's the thing. Texas fell victim to it a week ago. When you're playing from behind and you don't have a run game, you're sitting duck in the pocket, and that allows Texas to be a hunter. Right. And they have a lot of big weapons back there that allow them to hunt. And I love what I see from Brad Spence. I think, and we haven't heard it from Sark, but I'm thinking that the big reason why we haven't seen him in a longer, kind of more extended playtime opportunity is, look, you can't have 2 guys on the field at the same time that are 6'2", 6'3", 240 pounds. That doesn't set your edge very well. And Colin Simmons was asked about this. They said, look, do you think teams target you in the run game? Because, yeah, man, I'm 6'2", 240. Yeah. They're going to come at me, right? And I think that's the big reason why you haven't been able to see Brad Spence. But guess what they did? When Texas goes into those 3rd down NASCAR packages, guess where Brad Spence is? Right over the nose. They use him in those B gaps, hover over the A. I mean, it's unique. It's different. It is something that you don't see a whole lot of when you are an interior guy, to see a guy as quick as a Brad Spence. And evidently it worked very well. I think Brad Spence has a very quick first step. I think he's violent. He gets into the backfield very quickly. And on the flip side, Lance Jackson is going to be a guy. We heard from Colin Simmons in the fall say that's a first round pick eventually.
I believe.
Yeah, it's a young guy in his room. He's showing some promise. Like, could he actually be? Well, I think he's up to about 2.5 or 3 sacks already. That's only playing 10 snaps a game, maybe. This guy finds ways. And the thing I love the most about Lance Jackson, and for folks that saw that little pregame back and forth with the teams as they exited for the tunnel, and I love that, there's some high emotions in that. Oh yeah. If you go back and look at that, who's the number 1 guy on the Texas side trying to get in the middle of it? The guy barking the most, the guy, getting pumped up, getting in the middle of it. It's Lance Jackson.
Yeah.
It was his first Red River. It's a stage that wasn't too big for him. And evidently when he got his opportunities, especially early on, man, that sack, I thought he was going to take the head off of John Mateer. He's going to be a problem for the University of Texas. And what a get for that staff to get him on campus. A big recruiting win there, and evidently it's paying off.
Coach, what are your thoughts about this edge room now? It looks like they're starting to find their groove. And Lance Jackson, I don't even know if you just classify him as an edge. He plays on the edge. They bump him inside on some of those NASCAR packages. He's definitely got the size and the frame for it. They're doing some freaky stuff with Brad Spence, as CJ just mentioned. It seems like now they're what took so long to play these guys? Not Lance Jackson. He's been playing, I think, a lot, but Brad Spence, what took so long to get him on the field, Coach, you think?
Yeah, I the only answer that I could possibly come up with on that is just the fact that he hasn't looked as good in practice maybe as he has in the games. And, some people just, you think you flip a switch, but some people get in that stadium and they can take it to another level. And that's the only thing I could think of, because if he practices like he's been playing, that's a concern.
Yeah, because Sark on Brad Spence, he said, I credit Brad. He's been working hard. He had a tough week a couple of weeks ago and continues to get back to the grind. He had a much better week of preparation last week and found a role and made some plays. So maybe it's like Coach said, tough week. So maybe he's talking about practice. Who knows? Got nicked up. Who knows what he's referring to? But found a role, I think, was the key part of that statement. That now they have a role for him now on the team. Right. And if that's the case, and to your point about them putting him like in the interior gap, I was talking to Alex Okafor about this, and he kind of broke it down in a very simplistic way. He said there are speed rushers and power rushers. That usually you're going to fall in one of them categories if you're a pass rusher. He said power rushers, they build all their moves off of their elite power, like the upper body strength, things that sometimes it's their lower body strength, whatever. But they pass rush based on They build their pass rushing moves based on power, so their power moves. And he said they kind of work on BGO and work on speed. But a guy like Colin Simmons, he's a speed rusher. Power obviously is he's a liability when it comes to power rushing moves, and even against the run, because he's light and he's a speed guy, and he can use that to defend the run because he can get around blockers and get to the point of attack quicker. But Brad Spence is a power rusher, and that's why they can use him in the interior gaps, because he can actually line up against an interior offensive lineman and still be able to hold his ground and not get bullied around and not get muscled out of that gap, because he's a power rusher and he's got a lot of power from that that off ball linebacker position, that mugged up B gap, whatever they're doing with him. So that was kind of
interesting. Man, as an offensive line coach, that's got to be frustrating and really tough to go in and break down all these defensive front guys and the way we move them around and say, okay, when this guy's over you, and so you've got this guy watching all the clips on Colin Simmons, and then he says, but when this guy's on you, and then he watches all these other clips, man, I mean, it's got to be tough to prepare for so many versatile players as an offensive line coach preparing your team, and as an offensive lineman, not knowing for sure, and you think all of a sudden, okay, I'm in a stance for this power rusher, then they shift, and now I got a speed rusher on me, and I'm in the wrong stance.
Yeah, I didn't talk about that, Coach. That's a hell of a point to make. All right, let's thank our sponsors. Thank Von Lane before we move on here and answer a couple more questions, and then we'll get to some of Sark's comments today. But let's thank our friends at Von Lane. This fall, you've got places to be. Texas football at DKR. Of course, we just got done with the Red River rivalry in Dallas. NFL Sundays in Houston and Dallas. Just got done ACL here in Austin as well. You got the F1 race coming up this week in Austin. So there's a lot going on. Why waste hours at the airport or stuck behind the wheel? With Von Lane, you just walk into a hotel terminal, check in within minutes, and you're on board. No TSA, no hassle. Settle into one of just 22 oversized first-class seats. Stretch out, recline, and enjoy complimentary Wi-Fi snacks and drinks. If you want a beer or a cocktail, that's pretty easy. They got you covered here at Von Lane. And if travel right now is open through December, so book today for game days, concerts, or even Thanksgiving and Christmas trips. Visit vonlane.com and use the code OTF25 to save $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. That's Von Lane, your private jet on wheels. Thank you very much to our friends over at Von Lane for sponsoring on Texas football and the winning drive. All right, Jimmer with a super chat here. Thank you, Jimmer. He says, seems O-line improvement, excitement, particularly for pass protection, is a bit lazy. Sark had no faith with all the short passes. Won't work against Georgia. You'll probably have to have a different game plan against Georgia, no doubt. But considering Oklahoma was leading the country in sacks and tackles for loss and best third down defense in the country, and you only gave up one sack, and you were 10 of 17 on third down against that team at a neutral site. So the O-line still is a work in progress. There's no doubt. Because even as Stevie mentioned, you only scored, one touchdown in that game. But it does feel like that they took a step forward in the right direction, and there was growth on that O-line, period. With only one sack, the penalties got cleaned up. They had, 4 penalties, 3 of them in the first quarter, I believe. Was it 4?
Yeah,
so, yeah, man, there's no doubt they got a lot of work to do. But going from the Florida game to the Oklahoma game, I am pleased and I'm optimistic about where this O-line is going to end up.
Yeah, go ahead, Coach.
No, I'm just going to say, I don't think anybody's saying that, hey, finally our offensive line's where they need to be. But like you're saying, Rod, we're taking a step in the right direction, and that's very encouraging.
Yeah, look, it took a step, but it may not be where it needs to be. Now, if you're able to run for 90 yards with your starting tailback, that's something Texas really hadn't been able to do all season long. So, yes, it's moving in the right direction. Hey, there were still 12 tackles for loss given up. Texas was still behind the chains a lot. There were still 25 pressures on Arch Manning. And Rod, you mentioned his ability to escape a lot of those pressures and create is more on Arch than it was having a clean opportunity to throw the football from the pocket. So, yes, it wasn't 35 like against Florida. Mm-hmm. You had more than 11 or 14 rushing yards more than Florida. So it's a step in the right direction. I think that Florida game is going to be the worst that you'll see of this offensive line moving forward. It's not in a place right now where I can look at and say it's a strength, but it's certainly not as bad as it was. So taking the small wins here.
Yeah, no, I agree about the Arch thing. Arch this is the best game so far in the scramble drill with Arch and the receivers. Like they really seem like they're in sync now on the scramble drill, and they know it's a strength of his now. I put out the tweet earlier today. I mean, this dude against Power 4 teams. I'll just give you this really quickly. So I was going through my notes against Power 4 teams. So I didn't even include your UTEP, Sam Houston State, and San Jose State. He's averaging over 9 yards per rush, nearly 11 yards per attempt on scramble drill. He's averaging 9 yards per rush on scrambles, nearly 11 yards per attempt on scramble drill throws. And if you combine scrambles and scramble drill, Texas is right at close to 10 yards per play with him in scramble. That's versus Power 4 team. So, I mean, it's like I said, it's maybe one of his X-Men qualities, something he does as well, if not better, than almost all of his peers at quarterback. All right, let's get to. Oh, we got more super chats here.
Sorry, I just brought it up for you.
Oh, thank you. There you go. Thank you, CJ. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I love the last number actually. If you go look at all the against all 4 teams, so against Ohio State and against Oklahoma and against Florida, if you just combine his scrambles and his scramble drill throws, 45% of those plays result in a first down.
Pretty good success rate.
I'm telling you, man, it's as good because I haven't compared it to other quarterbacks. I'm probably going to try to do the research this weekend and see how other quarterbacks around the country, the best scrambling quarterbacks around the country, and how they do. But Arch's, like I said, I thought it would be a strength of his. I think it actually may be one of your best, most successful concepts, period. And Texas should practice it and perfect it, the scramble drill. All right, Lane with another super chat. Thank you, Lane. Says, Rod, how did Mac keep the team locked in after OU? Can't let another Florida happen. Yeah, Mac was really good about that. Mac would divide, like Sark does, divide the season up into different segments. And after Oklahoma, he would always have basically one part of the season ends there. It's the second part of the season. And then there's basically post OU is a whole different season for us. Because he said if you win it, you're catapulting the national championship conversation, and you do have to reset as a team. And you got to reset so that you're not too overly confident and guys aren't too arrogant about where they stand because they start reading the headlines and everything. He said you got to reset. He said you always have to reset after Oklahoma. Now, if you lose, he said you have to reset because you feel like your season's over. Because you do have to, adjust your goals a little bit. right? And they'll go up now. You still alive in the conference championship race and things like that, but losing OU because it's such an emotional and it's such a hyped up game and it's such an emotionally charged game. It's a hell of a letdown when you lose. Like you hit kind of a rock bottom, you feel like, of the season. And Mac wanted to reset after that, and he was always really good at it. So
now, I was sorry to cut you off, Rob.
No, go ahead.
Kentucky's not Oklahoma. Kentucky is not Georgia. Kentucky's not Ohio State. It's not Texas A&M. It's not a game that for Texas or Texas fans, I would imagine, brings out those emotional draws. You just played a very emotional game in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
How do you duplicate that? How do you make sure that you don't walk into a SEC opponent on the road and slip up? Well, we heard today from several Texas players. We heard from Sark. Every game from here on out is an SEC championship level game. Now, how do you instill that? You can say it, right? But unless you truly believe it, and we'll see where that culture is moving into this upcoming weekend. But that is one game that you circle on the calendar at the beginning of the year and say, if Texas wins that game, that is the biggest letdown opportunity of the season, just based off of who Texas is playing and their style of play. Kentucky can rattle off a 10-minute drive that gains 60 yards and they end up with 3. Right? That's just how they do. They 3 yards, 4 yards per run, but they want to make sure that they own time of possession. Going on the road, not easy. So we'll see. I wanted to get your thoughts on that as well because, hey, Texas doesn't have any margin for error at all moving forward.
Yeah, I really appreciate your comment, CJ, about the cult. It's going to be a culture thing. It has to come from the locker room. It's got to come from the players. There has to be a level of leadership and maturity that says, guys, this is who we are. This is who we are, and this is who we're always going to be as long as I'm in this locker room and as long as you're in the locker room and you're in the locker room, and just make it an individual thing, come together as a culture and just say, this is going to be who we are. And if you're not on board with that, you better get on board and have the leaders take that intensity level. Not that every practice has to be a rah, but you can tell, Rod, you've been out there. Mm-hmm. I've been out there for a lot of practices too. You can tell guys just going through the motions, and guys that are really focused and have prepared themselves in the film room and in meeting room and things like that, to get ready to play. But even then, you really don't know until you come through that tunnel and that ball gets off. It's in the air. And then you'll know. This will tell us a lot about the maturity and leadership in that locker room.
Yep, I agree with you. It's another test actually for the team, but this is a test of maturity. To your point, Coach. I agree with that. All right, let's thank our last sponsor, and we'll come back and answer a couple more questions before we end tonight's live stream. Let's thank our friends over at South Point Dodge before we end tonight's live stream. Thank you to our friends at South Point Dodge. Really appreciate them and their ongoing support of On Texas football and sponsoring the winning drive. You can score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge has over 600 vehicles in stock right now, including the all-new 2025 Ram 1500. Get the real deal today and drive away in the all-new Ram 1500, proven to last. Plus, right now, you get employee incentive pricing, which is their fancy way of saying that you get the employee discount right now at South Point Dodge. You won't find a better deal than that. They call it the real deal. So score big today at South Point Dodge. Go see them in person off of I-35, or you can go to southpointdodge.com. Whether you need a car, truck, trade in, something new, something used, our friends at South Point Dodge pride themselves on being Austin's automotive everything. So no matter what you need, reach out today at southpointdodge.com. All right, got a couple of more questions here. How about this one from Jeremiah? Says, been saying it for years, and I'm so pumped to hear Sark say it. Recruit the Metroplex. That will be Oklahoma's downfall. You might be right. Sark gave a shout out right after the game, right? To all those guys.
It is Oklahoma's downfall. That roster right now is so bare of DFW talent versus what it was with Stoops, with Lincoln Riley. You look at where Jim Nagy right now and where Brent Venables has gone in previous cycles, they've abandoned DFW. They've picked up their camp items and they've left. They've left town. It doesn't really make sense. And it's allowed for Texas Tech. It's allowed for Arkansas. SMU and TCU obviously are always going to have a stake there, but now they're getting higher end talent, and Texas will always be a factor in that area. Obviously, we've seen it. Colin Simmons, Malik Muhammad, Parker Livingston. Trey Wisner, guys from DFW that make Trevor Gooseby, another one. Big time talent comes down to Austin as a result. But for whatever reason, and you can go check the recent recruiting classes for Oklahoma. They don't recruit DFW like they used to. It's perplexing.
Crazy. That is crazy considering behind the Atlanta metro area, nobody in the country produces NFL talent at a higher rate than the DFW area.
Yeah.
And but maybe it's too expensive. Remember Jim Nagy, they got their own value system now. So maybe the metro area talent is just a little too expensive for them. All right, good point there, Jeremiah. How about this one from Shannon? Hey, super important question here, but where's Matthew McConaughey been? Did Glenn Powell replace him as the Minister of Culture? Not true, but Glenn Powell's definitely tried to get more FaceTime as a Texas guy. Like
he's trying to get a title himself.
Yeah.
Well, especially as his movie's out.
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, what's the new movie that he's got coming out?
He's a football player in it.
Oh, that's a show. He's got a TV show.
It's a show. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. But he's got to move is it Running Man? Is it the remake of Running Man? The old Schwarzenegger movie? I want to say that might be it. I'm not. I may be off there. So I'm sure CB's gonna throw it out there in the chat.
This weekend, guys, I'll have a movie review for you guys.
Yeah, nice.
I told you, I still got 2 on the list that I gotta watch, and I wish I knew the names of which one I was gonna pick, but we'll have something next week for you guys because I'm terrible with movies. So
we gotta make another list for my man CJ. Some classic movies for him to watch. Chad Powers is the name of the show. Thank you guys.
We'll watch Training Day, Rod.
Oh, Training Day. You haven't watched Training Day?
No, that's on the list here.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be fun. That's Denzel at his best. That's gonna be fun. I'm excited. I wish I was kind of CJ now and haven't seen some of the greatest movies of all time and get to watch them for the first time. That's great.
But the problem is CJ's not going to be able to focus and really soak it in during football season because his mind is going to be working on 1,000 things that he's got to do.
Yeah, he's got like 4 screens at one time. He's gonna have training day on one screen, football on this one.
I'll be sure to look. We got the 4 TV set up downstairs. I'll be sure that they're all off. My attention is there. I'll only be on my phone a little bit, so we're gonna make sure that we get Training Day knocked off. It's hey, this is not a text I ever want to see again, Mom. Come on.
Mama Vogel. I love that. Mama Vogel chiming in. Pops will be disappointed. That's great. All right. You know what? That's a great place to end things. I know we had some other questions, and I apologize. We couldn't get to all the questions and comments. Thank you guys for your participation. If we missed any of your question comments and you really want to get them in, you can direct them to the gentleman at Coffee and Football bright and early tomorrow morning, Jerry Hamilton and the legend himself, Bobby Burton. And also tomorrow, you'll have the Tuesday live stream with the prodigy himself, CJ Vogel, along with Amanda Atwell. She's a star. And also my man, Jeff Howe. Actually, one of these Tuesday or Wednesday live streams, I think I'm going to join you guys. Me and Jeff going to switch. Just a little heads up.
Good. I'll be on Coffee and Football in the morning too. So
nice. There you go. See, that's what I'm saying. We got a very unselfish team here at OTF. So if anybody needs somebody to step in, and we are more than willing. Got a great team too. So I want to thank that team. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate all of your wisdom and knowledge. Thank you for all your hard work, CJ. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. Thank you to Stevie Lee for joining us as well, courtesy of our good friends at Hard Grove Roofing. And thanks to each and every one of you out there for watching and for listening. For Coach and for CJ and for Stevie Lee, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em.
Thanks, Jason.